Okay, so now we're going to talk about properties and methods. And this is not something necessarily that you have to memorize. I did provide you with a link to a list so you can see um, what types of properties and methods are available your for use with the list. So if you go to the link that I provided, it has these properties that the list has and these methods. Properties are things that describe it. The most common one that you're going to probably use is length, to get the length of a list or length of an array. And then these things down here are all things that you can do. And we're going to do the sort for the purposes of this example. So right now I have it writing out what's in the number 2 position, but I'm going to have it actually write out what is in my whole list. Okay, so right now dog, cat, hamster, that is what is in my array, my pets. Now I can tell it to put what is the property of length. Now sometimes you're not going to know the length. You may think, well, that's kind of silly. I've created the list. I'm going to know what the length is. But maybe you didn't actually create the list by hand. Maybe you went through a loop, used a loop to go through a list of students in the class or something like that through files on your hard drive, and you really don't know exactly how many things are in the array. So this is where you would check the length. So right now it's coming up as 3 because I do have 3 items in my array. This is also handy, to limit the length of a loop. For instance, you only want it to loop as many times as you have things that are listed in an array or something. And as you start getting deeper and deeper into scripting, you will see purposes for these types of things. And additionally, probably before that happens, you'll start seeing these things happening in the code samples that you lift from for the class, for the discussion boards, and you take code samples from the internet and then try to adjust them and make them work on your page. So now you'll know what they're doing here. Okay, so that is a property, the property of length. Let's use the method sort. So right now my list is dog, cat, hamster, right? Let's have these be sorted alphabetically. Oops. I have to say my pets dot sort. And since really all a method is a function that is acting upon something else. Like an alert doesn't necessarily have to act upon something else, so we don't necessarily have to say document dot alert. But in this case, when we use the function sort, we have to tell it what it's sorting, so it has to be attached to an object. So I'm going to have it my pets sort. Right now it's dog, cats, hamster, and now it's cat, dog, hamster. The interesting thing here, though, is if you capitalize or anything like that, it's not going to work quite as well because capital letters will go first. Additionally, if you're using the sort function on numbers, please look that up because you actually have to make it a little bit longer. I'm using it on strings. So when you are using these methods, please make sure that you're doing the reading that is associated with the method, because it may work differently depending on the type of array that you have. So you really need to do a bit of research to see how to get it to go. Oh, one other thing before I stop. This is what I refer to when I say dot syntax. So it's almost a 2-for-1. I ask you to use a method in the rubric, and I additionally ask you to use dot syntax, but they're actually kind of the same thing because you can't have one without the other.